going. My colleague Catalin is replying to you in the comments. So, you know, any comments that you leave will be read by one of our team, and I'll probably have a look through them as I usually do as well. So, yeah, let's get started with this lesson. So today we're doing Reading Part B. And we're just going to have a very quick look at the breakdown of the reading subtest. So, you know, you get 3 parts in the reading. The first is part A. And what happens in the exam is that they give you the question paper and they give you the texts. They are 2 separate booklets. You go through the booklets for 15 minutes, and then the interlocutors, or the people that are in the test with you, they take those away from you. And then you are given parts B and C. Now they come together. So you're given part A, they take it back, and then they give you parts B and C. And parts B and C will look like this, and that is 45 minutes in total. Now that means that you need to be careful with the way that you break down your timing. So ideally, we would suggest that for part B, you spend about 10 minutes, and that gives you 30 minutes for part C, which, to be honest, is a little bit more difficult for most people. And that also gives you 5 minutes to spare, which is great to go through your answers, or just if you've needed any extra time anywhere else for part B or part C, you can use that 5 minutes extra. But when you are preparing, try and do part C in about 10 minutes. So what is part B of the reading? Well, you get 6 short texts, and they are workplace texts. Now, this is something that I think is fantastic about the OET exam, is that they're really preparing you for real life reading that you'll have to do. So for example, emails, you will be given questions on. Things like policies and memos, notices, like stuff that you just find, you know, if you're working as a doctor or nurse, you'll probably have a notice board in the staff room. And it's that sort of thing, as well as manuals that they're testing you on in part B. And in terms of language, they are testing you mostly on gist and detail. And we're going to look at what this is a little bit more. So reading for detail is finding specific information on the text. Now that means there might be a specific thing you find, so you need to almost skim and scan, find the answer, and that one particular thing will be the answer. And there's also reading for gist. So this is trying to understand the general idea of the text. That means reading everything, even though they're only short, but it's reading and understanding everything there. Reading for gist also covers the purpose, and they're very common in reading part B. It will say something like, what is the purpose of this text? And it will give you the 3 options. And then with gist, there's also the main idea or the main point. So with reading part B, I would suggest that you read through everything in the text, and then you look for your answer. We're going to look at some different strategies today with different things. So it'll be a little bit like a mock test, but with strategies as well. So how to do well, which is what we all want to know. Well, it's really important that you understand the question. Now with part B, you might get a question with literally a question mark at the end and the answer options, or it might be a sentence half where you need to match the sentence. And it's really important that you make sure you fully understand the question. That means go through it almost word by word and make sure that every word you understand, and you understand their relationship with each other. And of course, understand the answer options. Now, again, it's the same thing. Go through every single word and make sure that if you think that answer is your answer, you need to check that every word is accurate. Because understanding the question and the answers will mean you get the right answer. And I know that sounds ridiculous, because of course it does. But the problem is that with these kind of answer options, there will be one word that is wrong. It's only one word that means that that's not the answer. So every single word is important in the question and the options. And read the whole text. So go through everything. Don't think, I found the answer, and then move on. Make sure you read everything, because it is tricky and they do try to trick you. So we're going to have a go now. Before we do that, we're going to look at, well, how do I make sure that I understand the question? So what we have here is a context statement. Make sure that you always read that. It might also be the question, and look at every single word. So doctors are advised. Okay, so what advice is there? We might think of synonyms. Okay, maybe the word should will be there. And then looking at the answer options, the way that they are created for OET is there are verb phrases. And there are also noun phrases. Now, if we just look at the verbs with our options, so doctors are advised to break patient confidentiality if would put other people in danger. So if other people are in danger, then you can break patient confidentiality. Okay, B, they can break confidentiality if they inform the patient. And then C, they can break patient confidentiality if a patient refuses to disclose information. Now, any of those three options may be the answer, but if you don't read the noun phrases, it might be that only one half of the answer option was correct. So with A, failure to do so would put other people in danger. Now, what this means is that doctors are advised to break the patient confidentiality if failure to break confidentiality, meaning that if they keep the patient's details in confidence, then other people will be put in danger. B, it's not just about informing the patient, it's informing them of their intention in advance. So what you might get in the text is it might say that you have to inform the patient of your intention, but it might not be in advance. And then finally, it's disclosing information relevant to their care. So again, it's not just information, it's not any information, it's information relevant. So make sure that you go through each answer option and make sure you almost split it into the parts. Think, okay, the answer has to encompass all of, all the words, everything in A, B, and C. And we have our text. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to look through this question and see if you can get the right answer, and then we'll go through it in some detail. Okay, so something that I think is very useful to do in part B is also to break up the paragraph. So you almost look at the one paragraph in smaller chunks, even in sentences. Just read it sentence by sentence really slowly. So this first bit is telling us that confidentiality is extremely important, and that if patients don't feel like their medical needs are being kept confidential, then they might be reluctant to get care. And then we've got a key section, which is our answer. Faced with a situation in which the patient's refusal to consent to disclosing leaves others exposed to a risk. And what that means is that A is our answer, because it's failing to break confidentiality is going to put other people in danger, and we can see that it's saying it's so serious that it outweighs the patient's and the public's interest in maintaining confidentiality. So it leaves others exposed to risk, which is a synonym for puts other people in danger. If we look at C, now it mentions a patient refuses to disclose information. So you might be thinking, okay, C is the answer. But as we said before, well, relevant to their care, well, that isn't what they're talking about here. So that can't be our answer. And looking at B, it does talk about the patient being informed in advance. We can see there's the exact same wording there. But again, it's not that doctors should break confidentiality regarding this. It's just saying that if the doctor is going to disclose the information, the patient needs to be told. So B can't be our answer either. Let's have a look at a different strategy. So this time we've got synonymous language. We're looking at synonyms. Now, this is something we talk about all the time. Probably sick of hearing about synonyms. So synonyms are words that are different, but they have a really similar meaning. And you need synonyms everywhere in OET, but you particularly need them in the reading and in reading part B. They're very important. So we're going to look at those now. I've got a question here, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes to see if you can find the right answer. Halfway through. Ten seconds. Okay, I must apologize. I'm sorry that the timer is in the corner where my face is. What we will have to make sure next time is that the timer isn't there, so I do apologize for that. So let's have a look at this. Now, we've got here in our first line, the critical care area transferring team and the receiving ward team. And we can see that in that sentence half at the beginning, it says all staff. Now, everything about this reading is related to the staff involved in the transferring of patients. And all the staff mentioned are in the critical care area transferring team and the receiving ward team. So we can see that we need to look in that sort of area to make sure that we're answering the question. Now we can then see that word jointly. They should jointly ensure that. And when it says they're referring back to the two teams that we can see in the first line, and they should jointly ensure. So we know that we're looking in the right kind of area for the answer. And there is continuity of care through a formal structured handover, supported by a written plan. Now, what that means is a synonym. It means a personal care plan. So with those synonyms, we've got plan. We know that personal care would be a written plan related to the staff. And that means that B is our answer. So the key here is all staff. And the synonyms that we're looking at are the two teams and the word jointly. And that tells us where the answer is. Now, another strategy that we can use is reading the text before the question options. Now that means not looking at the question, not looking at the options, but simply covering it up and just reading the text and then going back. And what this does is it means that you're not distracted by the answer options. Because as soon as you start reading the options and then you read, you want to try and find the correlation or the link between them, and that can be confusing. So we're going to try and read the text and then get the options. So here's question 3 coming up, and this time you have some time just to read this before I give you the question. Got 1 minute with the question. Ten seconds. Okay. Do let us know how you feel about that. Does it make it any easier to not see the question? Is it more difficult? So let's go through it. Failure to screen a patient for malnutrition may result in, not just result in, it's may, so possibly, could, might. So our first sentence, the memo, this is the purpose. This is to remind staff of the importance of nutrition screening, to identify problems which may go unrecognised and therefore remain untreated during the patient's stay. Now, the question is about failing to screen the patient for malnutrition. And we've got this first line about the importance of nutrition screening to identify problems. And because we've got that causative therefore, it's that these problems could remain untreated. And that means that C has to be our answer. So the care providers, which are the staff, are unaware of an issue, unaware being they don't identify a problem, or they are unaware that there's even a problem there, and that is why, therefore, it remains untreated. Now, you may have decided to go for a change in overall health, and it might be because of that line, or if the patient's clinical condition changes. But this is only related to when nutritional screening should take place. So it should occur on admission and then weekly. So even though they look like they are similar or could be related, you've always got to look at the sentence before and very often at the sentence afterwards. And then you will see then that this can't be our answer because it's not about failing to screen the patient. So A can't be our answer. And then down at the bottom, actually, none of this is relevant. It's not important. It's just talking about having the height and weight documented, recorded weekly. And if the patient is at risk, then they may be diagnosed or as at risk of malnutrition, and they'll need nutritional supports. So it's not saying that they might have to stay at the care facility longer. That isn't actually mentioned anywhere. That last paragraph is just telling you a bit of extra information about what to do if a patient is recognised as being at risk of malnutrition. So that's why our answer has to be C, just because of those first two lines. Okay, and the final thing that we are going to do with our next few questions is process of elimination. Now, what this just means is that you look at your answer options and you think, okay, that is definitely not the answer. That's not the answer, so it must be that. And this is something that happens in OET quite often. So it's an important skill to have. It's not about just finding the right answer. It's also recognizing which answers are wrong. And that will help you not only in reading part B, but also in reading part C. And listening, actually, to be honest. So here is question 4. And you've got 2 minutes again to go through this. 1 more minute. Ten seconds. Okay, so remember with this question that we are looking at process of elimination. So we're going through the answers and thinking which ones are right and which ones are wrong. So if we look at the beginning, if the stock levels are low, we know this whole thing is about replacing stock. So if the stock levels of a medicine are low, the nurse should firstly liaise directly with the ward-based team. Now, they are liaising with the ward-based team to arrange urgent stock replenishment, and C, it should speak to the pharmacist if a drug is needed urgently. So we know that we're talking about urgent drugs. And it then goes on to say that if the ward-based team is unavailable, the nurse should complete a request form online and email it to the pharmacy. Now, remember that option C is should speak to the pharmacist if a drug is needed urgently. And what it actually says is to arrange urgent stock replenishment, they should first liaise, so firstly speak or firstly contact directly the ward-based team. And only if the ward-based team is unavailable should they complete a form online and email it to the pharmacy. And then we can see something else about urgency. Paper-based ordering systems are available, but they should not be relied on if ward stock is urgently needed. So even though urgent is there, C can't be our answer because it's not about speaking to a pharmacist. They need to speak to the ward-based team, or if that's not available, they need to request the form and email it to the pharmacy. They don't need to speak to the pharmacist. Let's look at A, must sign a paper form if they want any new stock. Well, it does say that there are some medicines like diazepam and codeine phosphate where paper-based requisitions should be complete, legible and signed and sent to the pharmacy. However, look at that second part of A, if they want any new stock. Now, any means basically everything, any. And it's not true because this is at-risk medicines. So it's only specific medicines that nurses need to sign a paper form for. So it's not any new stock. So again, A can't be our answer. So we've eliminated A and we've eliminated C. So our answer has to be B. Now, what it's saying is the nurse should liaise directly with the ward-based team, and that means they can order medicines from the pharmacy in some cases, because if the ward-based team is unavailable, then the nurse requests the form and emails it to the pharmacy. So that means in some cases, and the some cases is if the ward-based team is unavailable. Let's go through questions 5 and 6. Now, this time, I want you to think about everything that we've spoken about before. So make sure you understand the whole question and everything in the answer options, all of the parts of the answer options. Read through the whole text, Be aware of synonyms. Maybe read the text before you go to the options if you find that that works for you. Try and think not only about what the right answer is, but also why are the other two options wrong? And something I like to do is break the paragraph up. So really take it sentence by sentence, a sentence and then pause, understand it. Next sentence, pause, make sure you understand it. And that way you're getting it into your head a little bit more, because it's really essential that you understand everything here in order to get the right answer. So let's have a go at those two questions. One minute left. Ten seconds. Question 6, 2 minutes. Ten seconds. Okay, so let's go through number 5. So we know that this is all about ICU, and we can see that it's in every option, so there's not much that we can do about that. But answer option A is about ICU staff, B is ICU, so the actual units, and C is the ICU is fully responsible. And what that means is the unit, which includes all of the staff. So even though all the options say ICU, there are slightly different things. Now, if we look at answer option A, ICU staff can be seconded to other wards. Now, think about, does that mean that the staff can move to other wards? Is there anything mentioned about staff moving wards? If we look at B, only a consultant can refer a patient to the ICU. Again, remember that every word is important. It may be that a consultant can refer a patient to the ICU, but the guidelines state that only a consultant can refer a patient. And looking at C, the ICU is responsible or fully responsible, completely, entirely, for a patient in their care. Now, if we look down at the bottom, it says, when patients are admitted into the ICU, they are under the care of the ICU team. Now, we know that under the care of is a synonym. It's the same as being fully responsible. And that last section, it is up to the ICU team to make final decisions. So only they can decide. So C is our answer because of that. Okay. So the ICU is fully responsible because when patients are admitted into the ICU, they are under the care of the ICU team. Now, it does say in between those two black bits at the bottom in pink, it says it's expected that members of the primary referring team will liaise daily. So that's fine. The primary referring team will still have contact with ICU. However, it is up to the ICU team to decide, to make the final decisions. So that is why C, they are fully responsible. Let's look at 6. Now, this one is a little bit confusing. I think the distractors are quite difficult here. But we've got that really important line. It is essential that any information given is based solely meaning only. So any information is based only on the facts known at the time. Now, when we're saying known at the time, it means at that particular time, and it might mean that anything could change. Because it also says, after that line, healthcare staff should explain that new information might emerge. Now that means I have facts now, maybe then I learn another fact and that changes the previous information. Remember, the question is what staff must avoid. And again, we've got that line, they must avoid speculating on the possible causes. And the reason for this is because they have to give the information which is factual. That means they can't guess, they can only give facts. Speculating is the same as guessing, and obviously possible causes just means an option. So that is why B has to be our answer. Now with A, saying anything until the facts have been established, well, it can't be that because we don't know when the facts are going to be established. And that's why you have to give the information just only known on the facts of the time. It can't be C because there's nothing mentioned about the contradictions of other staff. So it can't be that as an option. Okay, I'm going to give you a minute now just to do a really short exercise on synonyms because they are so important. So you've got 1 minute to try and match the vocabulary from the questions with the vocabulary from the text. If you want to put your answers into the comments on Facebook, you can. If you don't want to, don't worry. Oh, 1 minute. That's an example. 30 seconds left. Three, two, one. Okay, hopefully you found that relatively simple. So of course, putting people in danger is leaving others being people, and the danger being exposed to a risk. A personal care plan is the same as a written plan. Being unaware, the same as unrecognized, and a problem and an issue are synonyms. Stock replenishment is the noun of replenish, which is a synonym for the verb order. And stock, in this case, is to do with medicines. Being responsible is under the care of someone or somewhere. And avoid speculating is based solely on the facts. So let's go through this one final time. Make sure with part B that you understand the question. Like I said, read everything really carefully, every single word, because one word can throw you off and then it means you get the answer wrong. So read every single word of the question and don't lose sight of this. This is the most important thing. Read the question and the options, then maybe you decide to read the text or the other way around, but always go back to the question. Always make sure that you are answering the question. Understand the answer options, exactly the same thing. Go through it word by word. Think, why is this the answer? And why are these not the answer? Read the whole text. Don't think, oh, I found the answer and move on because you're in a hurry. Make sure you read everything. Synonymous language. Try and work on your level of vocabulary, on your range of language. This will not only help you with reading, but it will massively help you with writing. Synonyms are really important in writing for OET and as well with the listening and with the speaking. Like synonyms are so essential for OET. Read the text before the questions. This is something that I think most people find works well for them. If you don't find it works for you, don't do it, but you have to find your own strategy. Use the sample tests on the OET website, or you can buy a different test from us, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. But any any practice that you can do is going to help you. And process of elimination. So think, okay, why is this wrong? Why is this right? Why is this wrong? And go through it that way. So that's everything from me today. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about our OET courses here at West London English School. So in terms of our online courses, we have an online reading package, which consists of video lessons, and you get 6 practice tests with that. That's 6 part A, 6 part B, and 6 part C. So it really is very comprehensive. With our writing, we have a writing package, which includes video lessons and then 5 tests that you'll get feedback with. We have a writing correction service where you write a letter. We will send you the case notes first of all. And when you send your letter back to us, we will mark it and give you the feedback on that. That includes a sample answer, and it includes a really detailed breakdown and comments and marks for how you're doing with your writing and ways to improve it. We have a listening course, which is very similar to the reading. You get video lessons, and then you get 6 mock practice tests, all original materials. You won't have seen them before. So that's another fantastic course to go for if you need help with your listening. We have a speaking course, where again, you've got some video lessons, and then you get actual live classes, and that is you one-to-one with a teacher working on your speaking. And then we have our packages, which I'm really excited to tell you about because they've actually changed. They've been completely updated. So these are our brand new OET packages. And with those, for all of them, you get unlimited weekly live classes. So with those packages, the silver and gold are 100% self-study. You get a lot of mock tests with them and a lot of video lessons that cover techniques. And then the platinum is where you actually get to work with a teacher. You will be given a personal tutor. Probably would be Harmy or myself or Catalin. And we will work with you, we'll mark your writing, and we will do one-to-one live speaking classes with you. So you've got 3 different options, but they are fantastic courses. So hopefully you'll give those a look. So this is our team. We have been doing a Facebook Live All Stars for a while. So hopefully you know us and you've seen our videos before. I'm there in the middle. We've got our fantastic OET course director, Harmy, there on the left. And we've got Catalin, who is answering your comments now, and she's an OET exam interlocutor. So hopefully you'll get a chance to work with us and work with our fantastic team here. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, you do send us an email or do send us a message on Facebook or Instagram or even YouTube. We've got a lot of OET videos up on our YouTube channel now. So I hope that in any way we can help you, that we're helping you somehow with your OET preparation. So thanks for watching, take care, and we will see you soon.